Hello, everyone. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Jeff.
So we're going to talk about various things this morning.
Yeah.
We just sent out a newsletter to our clients saying, is this a milestone year? Because jewellery is about milestones. So it's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
We've been having a focus on coloured gemstones recently. So if people get the newsletter, they'll have had that. So, coloured gemstones. What's your favourite coloured gemstone? Good place to start.
Do you know, over the years, so I've been in the profession since 1989, so over 35 years, I've been asked that so many times. When I've given talks, people normally ask, what's your favourite gemstone? And I think it's a bit like asking who's your favourite child, because they all have their qualities. But when I've been virtually forced to say what my favourite gemstone is, there are two in fact. The ruby, in its finest form, is the most stunning gemstone with incredible depth and layers to be discovered within it. And the other is aquamarine, part of the beryl family, which I think is the most feminine gemstone you can find. It's lithe, it's fluid, it flows somehow, and it's just so subtle.
Yeah. Birthstone of the month. Birthstone of March.
Indeed it is.
Yeah, ruby, I realised a lot of that fire is to do with the fluorescence. They fluoresce a lot. And I just wonder whether they're not such a big stone in this market. Though we sold more of them recently. There's definitely an increase in ruby popularity. Because they really react well to strong sunlight. And I just wonder if in countries like Burma and Mozambique, where you've got a lot of strong sunlight close to the equator, they do so much better.
Sure.
And here they're a bit greyer light.
Yes. Yeah, they're sort of almost looked over, which is a great shame. Like many coloured gemstones are sort of almost not considered. And yet it is one of the four precious gemstones for a reason.
And probably the rarest. Ruby's the rarest, isn't it, of the gemstones of the four?
Of those four, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's when you get a lovely Burmese and it's just got this fire. In the Bible it signifies wisdom.
Yeah.
And it has supposed to have other qualities, healing qualities, but it's just magnificent.
It's interesting that you like the aqua and ruby is like hot and cold. It's like extremes. Yeah. Ruby's such a strong, it's like blood. To me it's blood and fire.
Well, the finest quality is called pigeon blood.
Yeah.
Strange description of the colour, but pigeon blood, and it is like blood.
Which is, they for a long time, it was only really Burmese rubies that were pigeon's blood, but now increasingly that designation's been given to Mozambique, where most of them are coming from now, East Africa. For me, it's emerald, I think.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
So I think because they are, I think the green, I've heard it said that we can distinguish lots of colours of green. Possibly that's because we, evolved in forests and jungles. So we need to distinguish between plants and shades of green. I don't know if that's complete load of cobblers, or you'd have to ask an evolutionary biologist. But it feels that emerald, a bit like ruby and aquamarine actually, is a gemstone that only comes in the one colour, green. Whereas sapphires, have a whole rainbow. But even within that, there's so many styles of emerald. We've just sold one that was one that you picked up in Tucson.
Oh yes,
Afghanistan, material from Afghanistan. You remember that little 7-pointer? And so bright and clear, and more like a green aquamarine than most emeralds are like a kind of, they're like looking into a forest, aren't they? They're kind of mottled and soft.
There's a party going on in so many emeralds, and it's quite, of the four precious gemstones, the emerald is the hardest to find one without any marks that are visible to the naked eye. So it's not easy, and that was one of them. Yeah.
How do you feel about teals? Teals are all in the moment. Well, teals, violets.
Yeah. Well, you told me that teal was all the rage, and then I had to look it up, and it is the rage.
It's been the last few years, I think, hasn't it? But there's, I think there's quite a lot of different different colours even within that range. Like we had that lagoon tourmaline, which again has just sold, and that was one from Sri Lanka, and it's close to teal, again a bluey green, and I feel like they're in at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, it's one of those colours you really can't quite put a label on it. Yes, you can say it's teal, but is it blue? Is it green? Is it a mix? And it's hard to put your finger on it. It's almost elusive, the colour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I was looking at, we've got, I think it's a 2-carat cushion, again from Sri Lanka, and we had it in there as teal, a teal sapphire. And I was looking at it, I think, is that... And then I actually think it's violet. But then it's one of those things, you start putting words to it, you look at it and you think, oh, it could be teal.
And then you take it to daylight or
And
fluorescent light, and it tells a different story.
Yeah.
And it's almost with teal, there are rough edges where it's almost opinion, whether it's teal or not. I mean, blue is blue and green is green and so on, but teal is a sort of in-between nebulous colour.
Well, yeah, I suppose a lot of the rarer gemstones, colour change gems are inherently rarer. And these ones that are on the borderline, I wonder if they're becoming more popular, like Pad Parashas. They're definitely having a resurgence, and they're genuinely very rare. I wonder if somehow people are liking that because it shows that they're natural, because they are sort of elusive and rare, and they fit into two categories, and maybe that's somehow a response to diamonds and the advent of lab diamonds, and people looking afresh at gemstones, looking for something that they can go, okay, this is really unique and rare.
Yeah, I mean, if you related that to clothing, now you can get a branded T-shirt, and that probably 1 million people around the world has it, which is why a bespoke T-shirt or whatever it may be is desirable, and that's understandable. People naturally want something that's unique.
Well, it's interesting because I think there's two things going on there, isn't there? You can either have something and you like it because everyone else has got it, and there's a reassurance that everyone else has got it.
Acceptance.
Yeah, and fitting in with a crowd and a tribe. You can have your Gucci, and I think there's a reason that the big brands, like, they have their brand name embossed, don't they? Big, because you're part of the tribe. You can afford it. Or you can have something which no one else has got.
Yeah. Yes, and there are two different mindsets. You've got hundreds of millions of people going around advertising Levi's and goodness knows who else on their T-shirts or their clothing. They're doing the work for the company. It's brilliant marketing.
Maybe we're missing a trick.
Well, I was thinking Wyatt
range
Jewellery.
of Wyatt medallions.
Wyatt yeah, or maybe not. Make jewellery great again. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. Embossed in lab diamonds. I was thinking about lab diamonds, and I think there's going to be a change in the public consciousness where I think it's not far off lab diamonds entering the couture world, and you being able to get a handbag completely encrusted with diamonds.
Yes, now and again you'll see someone has got a diamond encrusted purse or something, and it's worth $20 million. You'll see the same purse, and it's $1 million.
Yeah.
That's the sort of difference we might be getting to.
Yeah. But then it's in a rarefied world, isn't it? Couture fashion world.
Well, we could. I'm sure we could make one of those if someone asked.
A line of sort of Y-fronts.
Yes. I wasn't thinking of that in particular, but
right. Maybe you take the lead on the garment front.
Yeah, maybe a scarf or something. Gloves.
Michael Jackson's.
Yes.
Didn't he have diamond gloves? I wonder if
No,
is it just the white
sequins,
glove?
I think.
Oh, okay.
Or diamante or something.
Well, if Michael Jackson was here now and he was doing that again, he'd have a lab diamond
He'd be
glove,
picking up
wouldn't
the phone to us.
Yeah, he would. One of the things I think about the difference between a branded high jewellery, like from one of these big maisons of jewellery, people is the reassurance or the the kudos that comes with the name, and And I think that's a big thing, isn't it? But people want to be reassured, and that's why often a jeweller, jewellers go by recommendation. You know, most of our work comes by recommendation, because the primary thing people are worried about is trust. You can either get that from a brand name, and then you pay through the nose for it. But if you know, if you have an in with someone, then you get amazing value, and you know.
And you know, if someone recommends you to someone, you're kind of likely to trust that person's advice. They wouldn't advise, if it was a friend or family member or colleague said, go to this person who's a carpenter or engineer or whatever, you're more likely to trust them.
You have a shared connection.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's in the person's, it's in our interest to make sure that we continue passing on that baton of trust, as it were, to our clients. So hopefully they remember us to their friends and family and colleagues.
It is funny how it goes with jewellery, particularly. Like how someone will get in touch and it's 10 years.
Yeah.
And they say, my friend recommended you. He got his engagement ring 10 years ago. And you think, wow.
Yeah.
They remember. And I guess because jewellery is a constant presence, isn't it? If you have a piece like an engagement ring, you'll wear it every day. So it's almost like that memory is never allowed to go. A bit like that's the idea of jewellery in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It keeps the memory of something alive, keeps it fresh.
That exact thing happened yesterday. I had an email from Claire. Thank you, Claire. And her brother is getting married later on this year, and they can come to us for some jewellery. So it's amazing. I think a good experience, a great experience, it registers and it's always there in the back of the mind. And it needs just a little reminder for it to come out. And think, oh yes, you've got to use Patrick and Geoff or whoever it may be.
Yeah. And it's also, at the same time, I find it sad when someone comes back after 10 years, say, and they haven't had their diamonds polished or cleaned up in all that time, and it's sort of, you know, it's a bit dull, and it's got hand cream and conditioner, and there's, you know, scratches on the metal, and you think if they'd come back every couple of years, you could have had the experience so much more sparkle,
which we almost begged them to do,
you
know, and now and again people come back and, you know, they've lost a little diamond. Once in a blue moon, a more important gemstone. People don't often, it's like, I liken it to people's hair growing. You don't notice the difference every day. But over a period of time, you will notice it. And those few little scratches and worn claws are not noticed on a daily basis. But if you saw a before and after photograph, it's such a difference. And you'll know that when we've serviced someone's ring or just polished and cleaned it, they exclaim, "Oh my goodness!
Oh, I've forgotten what it was like."
Yeah, it looks like new, and it does look like new, and it's important to keep care of our jewelry.
It's not uncommon for people to sort of well up a little bit, or, you know, you can tell people get a bit emotional when they see it and they go, "Oh."
Brings back a lot of memories.
It brings back memories, of when it was given. Antique jewellery, second-hand jewellery, older pieces. We've just had we've just sold a watch in auction. Yeah, that was a nice piece. Beautiful. Victorian pocket watch.
About 220 years old.
Yeah.
Working.
Amazing.
Ornate, engraved, old mine-cut diamonds surrounding a cushion-shaped emerald. Quite a basic cut, but beautiful. With lovely little workings made of 18-karat gold. And
the face of the watch visible through the emerald.
Yes. But you could open it as well, of course.
Anyway, so it's sold at auction.
For such a good price. And you think, if you commissioned a watchmaker to make that by hand, because that was made by hand, of course, it would cost
20,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
And it's sold for a little more than £1,000. And it's crazy. And that's the thing about antique jewellery. because you know that when I started in the profession, I was learning about fine gemstone jewellery manufacturing, but also antique and period jewellery. And you just, obviously you get to learn a lot about them, but all those pieces were handmade by great craftsmen, here in Hatton Garden. And now there's much more of a sort of mass-producing, casting, CAD work, etc. And even now, you look at the prices, even for modest jewellery, and the prices they fetch, to hand make that, again, would be multiples of 5 more. So it's very good value.
Yeah, and a lot of the styles that that were made just had people who would just specialise in them. I'm thinking like diamond, like carved half hoops.
Yes.
And the carving that you would get in the side of them would be often from one piece of metal, and you'd have guys who just specialise in that. And now no one does that anymore.
No.
So that you can't get them in the same way. You know?
No, you can't. And as you say, you'd have a bank of craftsmen, mounters, who would just be making carved half hoops or brooches or clasps, tongue and box setting. You know, it's extraordinary now. But the styles come and go as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and what do you think is the benefits of... So some things are lost there. And partly, I suppose, that's a story of the increase in labour price. Labour was much more available and much cheaper, and so much more expensive now. But then also the advent of CAD designing, CAD and casting, improvements in casting, and laser machines mean that on the other side of it, also, it's so much more possible to make very precisely fitted together extraordinary settings.
Absolutely true. And with like lab diamonds and casting, as you've said, it brings the price point down for people who don't have a lot of money to burn. And I think that's very good. You're right, some of those skill sets have been lost, just gone, but took 2 or 3 centuries to acquire. And they have gone. Some remain. And that's a shame. I can't help feel sorry about that.
Yeah. It's interesting because if you think about art, I've many long conversations with my brother about art. And I remember from one of them we were talking about the difference in, you've got the idea behind a piece of art. So like the idea it's communicating, and then you've got the skill of actually making it. So the old masters sort of had both, didn't they? They were incredible draftsmen and incredibly deft with the deft painters. But then also that, they had the storytelling and the ideas I suppose they took from Christian sort of iconography, etc. So they had a blueprint for the ideas they were putting across. But if you take something like, say, a modern art like Tracy Emin's bed, that's all about the idea of what she's communicating. That's the power of it. But the execution is not a demonstration of skill. No. Whereas in jewellery, a lot of these old pieces, they would be beautifully arranged and beautifully designed, but a lot of it somehow they sort of hum with you can tell the skill that's gone into it. And I think maybe that's somehow you can have a CADed piece which is beautifully put together and really crisp, and what you're seeing is the quality of the gemstones and a really nice design and proportion, but not so much the turn of the hand.
The human touch. I went to Rome last week in the Vatican at museums, and the Raphael rooms and the Sistine Chapel, of course, Michelangelo. You've got the unsurpassed skill set, and married with the storytelling. Obviously, it's biblical, and those two are in total harmony, and it leaves one in almost overwhelmed and very moved. And relating that to jewellery, what you've just described, there is something timeless. Though the Sistine Chapel, 500 years old, and it looked like it could have been painted a week ago. And Raphael and all the others, and really fine jewellery, it may or may not go in and out of fashion, but that's not about fashion. That's something completely different. That's pure style, skill, craftsmanship.
Yeah. If I said to you, what if you could take one piece of jewellery that you've encountered in this life with you, what would it be? Do you remember one
What,
piece?
designed or...?
Just a piece you've held, physically held or seen. Or even a gemstone. Because I have one gem I remember, weirdly.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, it's so difficult. And it doesn't have to be the biggest, boldest, most expensive gemstone. It was an emerald that you'll know of it, which I bought in a second-hand ring, Victorian ring. So I knew it was Victorian. It wouldn't have been treated with anything, but it was very rubbed because it's a soft stone, and it was almost like sandpaper being rubbed over it. And I knew beneath that cloud, once the cloud of that sandpaper effect had been removed, what would be revealed would be something spectacular. So we unset the emerald, got it polished, and this, like you were talking about earlier with that emerald from Tucson, it was just perfect. And we sold it about, 2 or 3 years ago?
No, I think it's more than that.
More.
It was on the last website.
I still regret it.
You
because
want to keep it.
no, but it was, every time I saw it, my heart soared.
Yeah.
It was just so perfect.
It was a lovely
Your
stone.
favourite gemstone? Emerald?
I remember we had a Victorian piece. It must have been around about a carat. It was an old cut, an old mine cut. But it was the shape of it. It was like a sort of plump pear shape. But the point of the pear shape was, I think, a little bit rounded. And then the base of the pear shape, the wider bit of it, had like a little peak on the bottom. Like a little...
Oh, yes.
A little peak. And I've never seen a cut the same like it since, but just the proportion was perfect. And it just was so unique, as old cuts often can be. But, I suppose more likely to see a sort of a nice... old mine cushion cut, or maybe a nicely proportioned old European cut, a rounder one, and they really sing. But this was like that, but an unusual, a one-off shape, not a kind of classic shape. And I just remember it thinking, wow, that it came and went. I think we repaired it and sent it on. But I thought
we know it didn't belong to us.
It didn't belong to us. It came in for repair. I think we were perhaps repairing it for a shop. Or someone else in the trade. We were doing a fine repair. I just remember it.
Yeah, you've got the best that nature can offer in the form of a rough diamond and some great...
Well, polished diamond, but...
Well, rough diamond originally, and then the artisan or the craftsman, the diamond polisher, has polished that and, from a rough diamond to a smooth diamond.
And maybe that's
polished.
partly what it is the sense that they left it that shape because of the calculation of as they were polishing it from the rough, that's how it wanted to be.
Yeah, takes great skill and insight. It's like a sculptor with a block of marble. It's just a block of marble, but they can see La Pieta or whatever.
Yeah. It's quite topsy-turvy in the trade at the moment. Diamonds prices are softening and gold is shooting up, which is sort of a bit disorientating in a way.
Yes, well, we live in a time which is disorientated in many ways, and that often relates to gold price. When everything is relatively fine and the world economy is going well, gold tends not to be quite so high relatively. And traditionally in troubled times, which some people would say we are in, it's a bolt hole for investors, because traditionally, historically, it retains its value. Yes, there's fluctuation, but it now is stratospheric. And, I mean, you all know, you can't quote as you used to quote because it's so high. Conversely, we have clients who want to sell their gold, and had a few Canadian maple leaves coins, 1 ounce coins, and Krugerrands, and they're getting a very good return. And you can see why, particularly in certain areas in the world, they collect gold for a rainy day. In the Middle East and Indian subcontinent, Gold is gold is gold.
If you got married 20 years ago in India and you had a load of 22 karat gold
You'd be
wedding
quitting.
bangles, you would have done very well.
Yeah. Who knows? But also it's disrupted by speculation. By investors who simply speculate that it doesn't necessarily reflect what people are buying and selling, but it does distort the market.
Yeah, it's hard to know if, the last trend, I suppose, since 2008, I mean, it was going up before then, but since 2008, it's steadily, there's been a couple of dips, but basically the trend is clearly upwards.
Yeah.
Whether that is itself going to prove to be a bit of a peak and it's going to come down the other side, or if it's just going to keep steadily going up, and for how long. But it does, I suppose the benefits are that if you've got old jewellery and you scrap it, you can release a lot of cash for making a new piece or buying a nice gemstone, or just having a nice holiday.
Yeah.
It's always better to get a bit of jewellery though.
Yeah, always better get, which is going to last longer. But you'll know that over the years we've had countless people come with their old chains and great Aunt Ada's brooch, which they're never going to wear and it's a bit broken anyway, and they want it to be scrapped. And it's always lovely to see the look on their face when you say, how much do you think you got? And say, I don't know, £200 or £300, £900, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And because there's so much value in this tiny, just a little chain or ring or something. So when in that 2007-8 financial crash, and recently in other dips, people always come and say, I've got some gold.
I remember after 2008, the queues at the gold smelting places where they do the mass smelting around the corner.
Absolutely.
And they were out of cash by the late morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember in the 70s with the oil crisis, people were selling, and silver went up, they were selling antique silver cutlery sets and beautiful ornate bowls and coffee
all that
sets.
Workmanship.
And they just melted all down. Never to be seen again. But
in a way, though, that's the nice thing about metal, isn't it? It's sort of fluid. It melts down and then made into something else. Because no one has those things on their tables anymore. I mean,
no.
Even, in a way, it's sad when you have things. It's almost like they're stuck by their own beauty. They're stuck. No one wants to have that amount of ornation on their table.
No, they
don't do that anymore.
No, they don't.
So in a way, it's a bit sad that some of it should survive, but
yeah,
is it not in a way quite nice that it's like? Okay.
Well, it's good to reform, and it's said that a third of all gold that is bought is old recycled jewellery.
I've heard more.
Yeah.
I've heard it was something like 95+%
Really?
of the bullion that's going round in the trade. So us jewellers go and
been
buy
recycled.
bullion. Yeah. So when people say we use recycled metal, most of it already is. Yeah. Because there's a certain amount that's mined every year and goes into circulation, but most of it is the gold just going round and round.
And it's used in industry as well, more. Most satellites that go up have these sort of gold things to reflect the sun. And so it's used industrially more as well, which helps push up the price. And I think also jewellery is becoming generally more accessible to people, and people who previously may not have been able to afford gold and would have gone for, say, silver, are buying gold as well. So,
I heard in a little breakdown on the state of lab diamonds and the diamond market on The Economist, and the lady speaking had drew an interesting parallel with air travel. So back in the 70s or whenever, if you go back far enough, before easily commercially available cheap flights, it was very expensive, and most people wouldn't get a flight, or maybe get one flight into Europe or something
in their lifetime.
Yeah, whereas now we're for a weekend hopping over to the Vatican or whatever, and
As you do.
and it became cheaper, and so became more readily available, and so therefore the market and the economy in it grew. And so maybe that's what will happen with jewellery, with the price of natural diamonds coming down as lab growns become more available, and actually people will buy more pieces, and they'll choose to celebrate more. They'll have, because it's a creative act, isn't it? Designing a piece of jewellery for yourself.
Is. And
actually, that's quite a nice thought. You can, I think, feel a bit gloomy and think, it's the sort of somehow the idea of jewellery is collapsing, or people don't believe it anymore. But I don't think that's the case.
I don't know. That will never be the case.
Yeah, it's actually people will be able to do more and wear more jewellery.
Yeah.
Choose more moments to.
Yeah, I mean, lab diamonds, a few people are fervently against them. Many people are fervently for them. I think it's good. Generally, I like market disruptors generally. There are one or two exceptions. But lab diamonds, it's good to throw a rock in the pool because it has been very tightly controlled for so long, the mined diamond sector. And just to throw, something out there.
I mean, I do feel for people who've got an expensive diamond and think, it's worth much less now. But at the same time, they still have that diamond to enjoy and pass on to the generations afterwards.
Of course.
And it's still natural.
Same as a lab diamond.
Of nature. But their insurance premiums will come down. And they'll be able to wear it more and won't have to worry about it so much.
Yeah, but you think if a client who'd come to us 10 years ago, 20 years ago, would the value of their diamond have gone up or down? It still would have gone up, and sometimes quite substantially.
They still would have done well, absolutely.
Because at the higher end, the bigger stones have been protected by this price fluctuation, as I understand it. But it's still quite fluid, but it's the smaller diamonds, I think, have come down a bit. But it's good to have a choice.
Yeah, and going forward, people will, there's the younger generation are struggling more and more to have an equivalent level of wealth and lifestyle to the generation that came before your mob, and so diamonds becoming both natural and lab grown, becoming more accessible, is a good thing.
Absolutely. In a way, you could equate it to when, call it, mass-produced casting came along, particularly in the mid-40s and 50s. It totally changed the jewellery profession. It changed Haddon Garden forever. But it made jewellery more accessible for people who otherwise would not have been able to afford it. That doesn't mean that people still can't have their beautiful, ornate, handmade jewellery, bespoke jewellery. They've just got a choice. And it's the same with mined diamonds and lab diamonds.
I wonder if there's interesting parallels, I think, between lab diamonds and natural diamonds and AI. Because this whole, we're looking at AI and it's producing, it's producing videos or photos or written content, art, it's creating things, being creative, and we're looking at it, and a lot of it you can tell and think, that feels AI. Don't feel the same about it.
Totally.
And I wonder if underneath that, you can't visually, even a skilled jeweller can't visually tell the difference between a white lab and natural diamond, but somehow it makes a difference to know the truth of what it is, even if you can't tell the difference.
Absolutely. And
I feel like it's a parallel with AI, our relationship to like what is synthesized and what is naturally occurring. Like whether you can tell the difference or not, I think is an overlay. Yeah, but onto intrinsically how you feel about something that's authentic and something that's synthesized.
Yes. I think that comes down to the individual. And I've got an inquiry at the moment for a diamond eternity ring. Lots of baguettes, lots and lots of them, want all mined or natural diamonds, not laboratory diamonds, which is fine. She'll pay a premium for that. But you'll have other people say, no, I just want a big diamond. And I'd rather pay £2,000 for it than £8,000 for it. So it depends on the priorities and values of each individual, and that's great. And without judgment, they should have that right to.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's go that route.
It's your choice how you. Maybe it's not a choice how you see it. Maybe you just it's just natural how you see it.
Absolutely.
It's like, this is what a diamond is to
Instinctual.
me.
Yeah.
I remember sitting down with a couple and we were talking about. We were looking at some diamonds together and designing an engagement ring, and they asked me about lab-growns and naturals, and I just gave an outline of of the state of affairs, and we had at the time a girl who's a school leaver up here doing some photography for us at the other side of the office, and I spoke to this couple who it was both of them their second time getting married, and they, after hearing the sort of initial explanation, they said, "Oh, no, it's got to be natural diamonds. I want natural diamonds, And so fine, we proceeded on that basis. And then after they left, I asked her, who'd heard exactly the same conversation, and she was 19. This was maybe 4 years ago, 4 years ago. And she said, I couldn't believe that they went with a natural after everything you said. For me, everything you said just affirmed that to have a lab grown.
Wow.
So it's so interesting. So I thought, well, that was good. I had given a neutral delivery.
Yeah.
And you pays your money, you takes your choice.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because the 19-year-old, they are of a generation that has a lot of ethical concerns in all manner of areas. And I think for our younger clients, by that I mean sub 40, definitely sub 40, they tend to go for the labs, and post 40 tend to go, generally, roughly, go for the naturals.
It's a generational
yeah.
thing, yeah.
One thing that people often ask is, what's the favourite piece you've ever designed? And it's not easy to answer that, because there have been so many unique, beautiful things. But there was one, and it's probably one of the simplest designs I've done. It was an engagement ring, the son of a horse racing trainer. You'll know that normally if you have a coloured gemstone supported by diamonds, the coloured gemstone takes centre stage. And the diamonds are there in a supporting format, one either side, all the way around, or whatever.
You'd have a sapphire and diamond 3-stone.
Yes.
Not a diamond and
exactly.
sapphire 3-stone.
And he wanted rubies, but he wanted a diamond and ruby 3-stone. And which is unusual. It's not the usual way, but it can work beautifully. And so we went, after a lot of discussion, we went for an emerald cut octagon diamond in the middle, which was beautiful. It was about
square emerald cut, wasn't it?
No, it was just off square.
Oh, okay.
It was definitely off square, and in platinum. And we decided to put tapered rubies on the outside, but there was a knowledge there that if you put the normal sized tapered stones, had it been reversed with the ruby in the middle and tapered diamonds, you would have had smaller tapered diamonds. But in that format, in that layout, they would have been swallowed by the diamond. They would have looked embarrassingly small. So they were oversized tapered rubies, and they were stunning, the sort of pigeon blood or just off pigeon blood. And there was something about it that was just perfect. In platinum, very sort of Art Deco-ish. And every time I see that ring, which is not often enough, he doesn't bring it back for service. Chris, make sure you bring that in. It's just so beautiful. I just feel everything is right in the world. Just by looking at this simple little ring that is an heirloom piece.
Yeah. It's nice when you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I think we've hit the nail on the head.
We nailed it.
Nice to catch up.
Nice
talk
to
about
catch up.
jewellery.
Let's do it again
Do
sometime.
it again sometime.
Maybe people like us to do it again, or maybe they'll say, no, please don't do that again.
They'll have to let us
Time
know
will
in the
tell.
comments.
Yeah.